listening to Cowboy Logic with Jason Forby, a message of grace and hope.
Is everybody good? It's an inside job. That's what we've been talking about. It's just not about some God in a faraway galaxy that's in control of everything and we're all puppets on a string. But He's put Himself inside of us, and He's made us, included us, and made us a part of the thing. And as we get revelation and knowing Him, then we're transformed, and what happens inside of us has more to do with the life we're experiencing than we've ever been told. Right? I mean, we've read over and over and over. I can't just repeat it all, but, we've read 3 John 1 where he said, I wish you would prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. So you could say it was at least John's will that you would prosper and be healthy, even as your soul prospers. In other words, if your soul, if your mind, if your thinking gets wrapped around, but what happens if our thinking and our soul doesn't get right? Come on, you see what I'm saying? Our experience, it's not just this thing, whatever happens is the will of God. We have no control. We have no say. We went to Romans 12, started out in verse 2 where it says, don't be conformed to the world, be transformed by renewing your mind, so that you can prove what is the good and perfect, acceptable will of God. Well, if you stay conformed to the world and you don't renew your mind, can you prove You got what I'm saying? So, our experience is tied to the transformation that's happening within us and the way we actually start thinking differently. The word repentance actually means to think differently, to have a different mindset. We backed up from Romans 12:2 and went to Romans 12:1 where it says, present your body a living sacrifice, which is a reasonable thing to do. Don't be conformed to the world. And we talked about your body, your physical body is your access to the physical world, and you grew up gathering information from the physical. You took that information in, you processed that information, and you formed your belief system out of the information that you had gathered through the natural, right? But now we know that there's another source of information, that you don't have to just get your information from the natural. So in other words, present your body as dead. You still need it. You got to have it to walk around. It's part of our existence, but you're no longer limited to gather all of your information from your 5 senses and the natural realm. There's another realm, the spirit, right? And so we read to be fleshly minded, to have a mindset on the flesh is death. To have a mindset on the spirit and the truth is a life of life and peace. So one mindset, I know this because I used to have this mindset. A mindset that's based on what's happening in the natural and the information that you've gathered there leads to death. A mindset that's gathering information now from the spirit, a whole other level, then that leads to life and peace. You got it? Can I just say it like I want to say it, and then we'll try to figure it out? You all right? Everybody's good today? We're easy? All right, so I want to say it like I want to say it, and then try to figure it out. I'm going to say it like this. Your body is trying to be the mind. Your body, your physical self, is fighting and it wants to be the mind. It's always trying to be the mind. It's always trying to dictate and have its opinion and get what it wants. And so partly just this becoming aware of this is hopefully most of the battle. Because if you're not ever aware of it, you don't know it. You could say after a while, man, I'm hungry. Right? We all say, man, it's about 11:30. My belly's growling. I'm getting hungry, huh? You know what that is actually? Do you know that there's actually still food in your belly from the last time you ate? You're not actually hungry, but you've patterned your physical self to this is the time schedule we're on, and my body's saying, hey, don't you think it's about time? You see what I'm saying? So your body is always trying to be the mind and be in control and dictate what's happening. And if you don't realize that, you'll just go through life allowing the physical man to have his way and be the mind and boss us around. And we wonder why we walk around in life and not have any power. Because it's the spirit man. Emma asked me a question yesterday. It was such a good question. So yesterday, Emma had a little horse we were going to sell. We went to a horse sale yesterday, and so Emma had her little horse. We're going to get him ready and sell him, right? Auction. You guys You know what that is, right? It's kind of it's a cultural experience if you haven't ever. Here we are, got our little horse, and he's a good little horse. He's doing good and everything, and so everybody's interested in this little horse. It's all good, and we spend all day there, you know. Well, what most people don't know is, I don't even know how long ago, but a year or something more ago, we were at the same place. She had a different horse that we were going to sell, and before we even got into the sale, this horse kind of freaked out and had a big wreck, flipped over backwards on her. I busted the fence down, and we never went to the doctor, but probably broke her ankle and who knows what all. It was a bad wreck, a traumatic thing, right? And so that was however long ago. And so here we are now. We've got this different horse in there. Now I mean, no, that was a bad traumatic thing that nobody wants to experience and have happen. And so here we are, her little horse now. We got him. We're standing in a pen in our place and waiting for the thing. It goes on all day long, right? And the whole time we're in this pen, you can see the fence that was crashed down. That's new. That's rebuilt right there. You think that might be on her mind a little bit? Last time we were in this place was a bad wreck. I understand that's probably on her mind a little bit, and so I said, you know, this is not that deal. This deal's not that deal. You know what to do, yeah? And so then later on, yeah. So later on she comes to me and she says, Dad, how do you control, you ready for this? This is a really big question. How do you control your emotions? How do you control your emotions? It's a big question, huh? I think everybody'd like to have a little better handle on that. How do you control your emotions? Because here's what emotions are. Emotions are a feeling that is produced. It's actually produced physically in your brain because of a feeling, because of thoughts or memories. She's staring at the very spot where she had a traumatic experience, and so the memory and the thoughts can go to that place, and then your brain, the way it works, when you're having those memories and those thoughts, it'll actually chemically produce stuff to be dumped into your bloodstream, and you will have a physical reaction. Come on, you got what I'm saying? You will actually feel and have emotions connected to some thoughts and memories that you're actually having. It will be a physical thing. You with me? I heard it said one time like this: thoughts are the language of the mind, feelings are the language of the body. Those feelings, right? It's like anxiety and fear, and these thoughts and these memories are producing what is feeling and emotions and all that stuff. It's like, so she says, how do I control my emotions? How do I control these feelings or fear and anxiety and all that stuff? It's like a really good question, right? So this is what we're talking about. It's an inside job. Do you know that if you had something happen in your life that was impactful enough to where it caused a emotion, then that memory is actually a deposit that's been placed in your physical body, somewhere in your body. It's a physical thing. So we're saying your body's keeping record of stuff. And so it's like, so how do we control this? Do we let the body that's trying to become the mind influence the way we think? Or do we say, no. Here's what I said. You know this horse that we have now is not ever going to do anything to hurt you. You know you've done a good job. Here's the truth of the matter. We're going to think this way. This is what the truth is. And so because... Now, this is not the first time she's heard it. If she hadn't been to the place where she had already trained her body, you don't get to be the mind. Come on, we've lived life as victims. I'm telling you, it's an important thing not to just show up in the middle of a fight saying, it's time I need to learn something. No, it's better to learn it now before you're in the fight, to say, you know what? Hey, listen here, body. Tell your body, shut up. It's like fasting is a way. I mean, and you guys know we're grace people, new covenant people, not about works. I'm not saying, oh, you got to fast, you got to do all this stuff. But I'm telling you, if you want to take some things in the spirit to a whole nother level, you can fast. Fasting is not an old covenant concept. Fasting is a new covenant concept. Come on, didn't the disciples come to Jesus one time and say, hey, John's disciples fast, the Pharisees fast, how come we don't fast? Jesus said, you don't fast because I'm still here. In other words, only until I leave, Do you really have access to the Spirit to where you have two things to be strengthened, really? And what does fasting do? I want something to eat. You get hungry and cry. Anybody ever tried fasting? It ain't easy, right? And you're like, what happens here is my physical man says, hey, dadgummit, I like eating. And so there's this fight. And what happens is you either win the fight or you lose the fight. And you can say, listen, body, you don't get an opinion any longer. You might as well just learn to shut up. We've been living this for a while. Emma was already in the place, so she overcame. She could take the mind of Christ that she possesses, the spirits that's in her, and take a hold of what we know to be true and say, listen, emotions, listen, feelings, listen, body, with all your trauma that you're trying to come at me. You already know you don't get an opinion in my life, so you might as well shut your mouth. You might as well take your pendants on somewhere else, because I know who I am and I know what I have, and only your lies and believing your lies give those lies access to my life, so you might as well just shut up and go on down the road. It's an inside job. Job said it like this: the thing I feared the most has come upon me. Consider your body a living sacrifice. It means it no longer has a voice. Me and Rachel, we ain't done it lately because it got froze solid, but we get in the cold water, Nobody hates cold worse than me. I almost shed a tear this morning when I woke up and saw snow. I'd have got saved quicker if they'd said hell was froze. I hate the cold. I'd rather sweat than shiver any day. But she started doing it. I could see all these benefits of it, and I was like, I hate it, so what am I going to do? I'm not saying anybody's got to do this, but you get in the cold water. Anybody get in the cold water? It's like a popular thing now. Yeah, Greg does. It sucks, don't it? It's terrible. It's terrible. I don't know if it could suck anymore. It's terrible. But here's what happens. You're going like this. No, that's stupid. No. Who would do that? No, that's the most miserable, uncomfortable, hurting thing. That's just, no. There's nothing about that makes any sense, right? That's your body. Because where's cold at? It's a physical thing, right? So your physical self is going, no. But your mind says, hey, shut up, you don't get an opinion. And you climb in there. What happens every time you do that? Your body says, I don't guess I get an opinion. And then for long, you fast, you get into cold water, whatever it is. You come up with whatever. It doesn't matter. Anything that you don't want to do. The more you do it, the less voice. And then before long, your body doesn't even complain. Your body will get to the place where it's like, no point in me even having an opinion. And now you're living life with a mindset. You see what I'm saying? It's a mindset on the Spirit is life and peace, to where nothing else gets an opinion. Nothing in the physical life, experiences, people, whatever, can even have an effect on you. It doesn't get a voice. It's like you're untouchable. You can just live life knowing that the truth of who God is in you and what the truth of the gospel is, and I get to live life in the Spirit, and I'm no longer living life according to the... Come on, we think of flesh. If you've been in church, you think, oh, sinful nature, all this stuff. It's not that. That could end up being fruit of that, but it's not that. You get the opportunity now, because Jesus has come, to live life with a different mindset. You can have a mindset based on the truth and living life in the Spirit, or you can continue. I don't care. You can go to church, you can quote the verses, you can put a fish on your car, you can have a Christian ringtone, and still go through life letting the body become the mind and be the mind and drive your life and have a big voice and have its opinions and say, well, I think the biggest part of this is to at least become aware. Most people are completely unaware of what they're thinking or the way they're thinking or that they even are thinking. And so to become aware of, wait a minute, how am I thinking? And where is this thinking originating from? If it's fear, anxiety, if it's based on the lie, you have the mind of Christ. Christ in you is the hope of glory, right? You have the mind of Christ. So we can go through life with the mindset on the Christ in me being the hope of glory and what the truth actually is, knowing that what we see, taste, smell, feel, anxieties, feelings, all this stuff, can realize, wait a minute, that's not me, that's not my mind, that's trying to get my mind. But that's not who I am. That's not me. I can recognize that where these feelings come from, it's something that actually was traumatic or whatever that my body's harbored, sure, but it's not who I am. And I can recognize, wait a minute, where are these thoughts coming from? Who's the originator of these thoughts? So to become aware of your thinking is, to me, a huge, because only until you're aware of what you're thinking can you realize what you're thinking and where that originated from and come from. So I don't know, maybe it's a prayer to say, man, I just at least want to think about how I'm thinking. How am I thinking? What am I thinking? Most people are just driven. It's a runaway train. These thoughts, they don't know that they can actually have control of them and say, wait a minute. I'm not letting my thoughts control me. I'm controlling my thoughts. And that happens by telling the body, put it in its place. Put it in its place. I'm not saying don't be good to it. I love health and I treat myself good. I love myself now. If you love yourself, you take better care of yourself. My story was, I can take you to the place at my driveway. I grew up in church camp, vacation Bible school, prayed the prayers, did all of it, every bit of it. I wanted to be a good Christian. I wanted God to be pleased with me. I didn't wake up every day looking, how do I get away with sin or something like silly. No, I wanted to be a good Christian. I put so much energy and effort into trying to be whatever God wanted me to be, But at the end of the day, it's like, they kept raising the bar, or, it's like, I'm trying my hardest and I'm just as defeated. I'm just as miserable. Marriage is just as much as a failure, just as broke, just as sick, just as depressed as somebody that doesn't even know God. Like, what the heck? I mean, anybody ever had this? It's like okay to think this? Like, I thought God would be mad that I was even thinking this. I didn't know who God was. I thought He was this religious version of, you better stop sinning or else, right? And so I'm like, man, I tried my hardest for 30 years. I tried my hardest. I did the best I could. I wanted to be good, and I'm still a failure. And so I'm in my driveway, and I'm just like, I've tried to get some of my buddies. They'd come go to church for a little while, and then I know now it's because there was no power in that. And so I'm just like frustrated and ready to give up. And I shook my fist at God and said, look, you know that I believe in you. You know that I need you. And without you, I'm a goner. But if this is what it is, I'm out. I'm done. I tried my hardest. I give up. And the God that I thought I knew, that I expected Him to roll His eyes and say, fine, forget you then. I didn't get that. I got, finally, you're going to give up on yourself and your religious stuff? I can show you who I really am. The best way I can describe it is, it's as if He walked by and I got just a tiny little whiff of who He really is. And it's forever rocked me. And so I was like, I don't know how this happened, but it's like instantly almost that I could be like, whoa, you're not who they said you were. You've been lied on. And my whole perception of who you are and what you're like has been wrong. And so just this little whiff that I've got is enough to wreck me from now on. But I don't want just a whiff. I want all I can get now. And so I'm going to spend the rest of my life in this thing of discovering who you really are and what you're really like. And in that place, I just become transformed. And I'm going to live my life in that direction and go after God. And I want to know you. I didn't even intend on any of this to happen. I'm not a pastor. I don't know nothing. I'm a horse trainer. I didn't go to school. I'm as unqualified and uneducated as I don't know nothing. I quit church. What the heck? How'd this happen? Right? I just sold out to the idea of God's been lied about. And it's affected all of us. And so I said, I got a whiff of who you are, and you're not like they said you are, and you're not like I thought you were. And if you've been lied about on one thing, you've been probably lied about on a bunch of things, and I'll spend the rest of my life discovering who you are. And so we're just in this thing together. And so it's like I can keep my focus on that. I want to know God, keep showing me, keep doing what you're doing in me. He understands I have still things to undo and unlearn and work out and ideas and this, it's like he's not expecting me to be all of a sudden have it all figured out. And so it's like I can keep my focus on that, or I can turn around and try to deal with everybody that's naysaying me, or even my own self of, well, all these questions, is it worth it? Oh, I ain't got this figured out and all that stuff. It's like, wait a minute. Bottom line, thank you, God, for where I am right now. That I'm no longer where I was. Somehow you saw fit, or whatever, how it happened, I don't know. I at least get to be on the journey to discover you. I don't have to sit in that old religious bondage anymore and talk bad about everybody that believes something a little different than I do. And so I'm just like, man, I don't know. Sometimes it's squirmy. Sometimes it's, it's a hard thing to be wrong. This is the problem. Most people, if you've been in religion, you have to fight to prove you're right. And it's like, in order for truth to break through, this is where it got me in the driveway. You finally get to the place where you're willing to be wrong. If you're not willing to be wrong, you will never learn anything new.
Please follow and share this message. And for more information, visit srcowboychurch.com.